Okay, it is September 27th. I did the soybean video basically a week ago, and I haven't really posted it yet. So that's probably why, if you watch it, and it's like, man, it was posted on a way later date, and I'm saying September 20th, but nevertheless, I'm now going to do the corn review, and we're getting really close to harvest time here. So the combine is still in many, many pieces, but I am very confident that myself and Brother Bob will slap that thing together this weekend, during next week, providing that some beans will be ready. I still got to get the grain bin cleaned out. We can look at that as well. However, the corn here is getting there. So what we got here, this is the first stuff that was planted back on May 15th and 16th. Got the beans done on the 14th. I came out here and I chiseled this field. And then the following day, Monday, I was able to cultipack it and plant some corn. So this was our first planted stuff. This is the 96 conventional. I was a tad late on the Lumax of this area here, but the Lumax worked out great on the other stuff. But nevertheless, something is growing here, a little bit of weeds, but according to a growing degree units calculator page, we should be at black layer based on the number of heat units that we've had over the growing season. So I'm curious to see if if this corn is at black layers. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to need both hands because of the weeds. Walked in quite a ways in this one field. Definitely a bunch of varmint damage. You can see here I'm kind of in between like a pass, and it's just like a highway of deer and stuff. But here's an ear right here. 2, 4, 6, 8. Right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, 16 guy. I'm not really seeing much of a milk layer. Maybe a little bit on this one. Zoom in a little better. Gonna need both hands. Yeah, this stuff here is definitely not black layer yet. I mean, you pull a kernel off and it still sticks. It still gets the little grate. Those little white things that connect the kernel, they're still attached to the kernel. So these are not quite to black layer yet, but the milk line is getting low. Walked into another part of the field. This corn looks much more better as far as not much varmint damage. Here's another thing here. Let's see, 2, 4, 6. Another 16 around. Again, the milk line is pretty low. So this corn is still not black layer yet, which is good because we're not ready to do corn. We're going to be doing beans first, and that's what we traditionally like to do, is get the beans off the fields first, then worry about corn. But I'm really excited to do corn this year because we're going to try and dry some corn in the grain bin. Get, a few hundred bushels dried down. But anyway, yeah, so this little sliver here, this is a half acre that we planted. Like, I went crazy at 48,000 because I had the planter set at 24 to do the perimeter of this field here. But this field here looks pretty good. I'm liking how the ears are. There's less varmint damage. But typically, this little half acre sliver here that kind of goes around the side of my old go-kart track, varmints devour it. So even if I get something out of this, this is, something. So I was kind of hoping like maybe almost 100 bushel out of this sliver. We'll see. We'll see what the hell happens. I would like to point out that the first field that we did not do any V5 fungicide application, nor any ammonium sulfate. It's pretty much, we planted it. We did lay down some phosphorus and potassium with the grain drill before chisel plowing. So it does have a little extra fertility of what we kind of used to do. But other than the extra stuff that we kind of did in the last field that we planted, it's still looking pretty good considering of what it used to be. But next up is the go-kart track field. So this is the field where I decided to quickly clean the center portion of my old go-kart track here and basically plant corn in the middle of it. And it did not turn out very well. Hindsight is really 2020. So some of the things that I did not do very well is I probably should have plowed the ground. That way all that sod and stuff gets tilled over. I also did not really put any P and K on this field because I kind of assumed that I had all kinds of P and K because of all the vegetation that was here. So that was a bad mistake. I did spray V5 on this field, and I did spray a little bit of nitrogen and AMS. So at least doing those things sort of helped whatever the hell grew out of here. But it is very variable, but it's because I did a piss poor job with fertility. And probably the soil management as well. Because even planting it, because it was very soddy, going over with the chisel plows like 3 times, it chopped things up good, but it was still very soddy. A lot of sod, roots, and grass, and some dirt, which caused a lot of uneven emergence, uneven planting depths. So another learning curve on that. So if I ever do any like new ground, it's got to be plowed. It's got to be plowed and disked so it's nice and smooth, and then go on from there. But this stuff grew slow. Even though this was planted a week after the field over here, so it would have been the Sunday. It wasn't the Saturday, it had been the Sunday, so which would have been the 15th, the 22nd or 23rd. Because the rest of the field over here, the 17 acre, was kind of planted successionally, 24th, 25th, and so on. But yeah, this stuff is the farthest behind because it just grew so slow because it was suffering. And there are spots where actually this is like, I'm standing in a really good spot right here. Ears are fucking, look at that ear right there. Shit. This stuff here, this 2 acre, this is our only Roundup Ready corn, which I bought a bag off of Dan. Dan had a bag left over. So I actually, this is his 96 Roundup Ready. And it is what it is, but it's another learning curve. I'm hoping to get maybe almost 200 bushel out of these 2 acres. You know, I'd be happy. Look, I'm happy either way. There's corn here, so that'd be cool. But I'm going to grab a decent ear and see what we got here. So yeah, so there's definitely some ears like this guy right here. This is a nice big ear. And then there's a lot of ears like this. Smaller, a lot of tip back. Probably 14, 16 around. But this this big guy right here, hold on. The big ear is a 16 by 38 versus a 14 by 28. So we'll get something out of this field for sure, but definitely a learning curve. But again, that Dan's 96 RR stuff looks really nice. Really nice. And then you have the rest of this this larger 17 acre that goes like a half a mile, or I'm sorry, a quarter of a mile down to the north. And you can actually see here, let's see, if you look down the pathway, you can see right there, this corn right here It's all kind of like starting to brown. And then right here, this stuff is still green. So most of this did get sprayed with the V5, pretty much the 2 acres here, and then 8 acres pretty much from where this go-kart track side all the way going north, about 8 acres got sprayed with a V5 fungicide. But the stuff here that's greener here, right behind me, that got hit with the AMS, the ammonium, not ammonium, the sulfur stuff. So let's find an ear. Ugh. Yeah, these ears are nice and thick. Oh, look at this guy right here. Jesus. Oh my God, look at that one. Yeah, this, we're going to take a look at this ear. Freaking huge. Yeah, this is a 20 by 38 ear guy. Kind of a weird little thing happened there. But this is a huge fucking ear, and there's a bunch of them around here. This is where I started a row with the ammonium sulfate. And there's a bunch of huge freaking ears here, dude. It is freaking crazy, the size of these ears. So we need to spread AMS after our V5 fungicide spray. You know, pretty much when the corn is almost too tall to drive over. I mean, just fucking look at these ears. Look at this ear, dude. That's about the same size. Look at this. I really hope that the 0030 that we're going to get next year, stuff that I used to grow years ago, sometimes would get a second ear. See how there's an ear right there, and then a second one's trying to grow? Well, the 0030s was actually growing a nice, decent double ear. But these 96 conventionals, they were trying, but it didn't amount to anything. But, yeah, dude. Oh, my God. Imagine 30,000 of these. Yeah, we're fucking doing that next year, dude. I don't care. You gotta spend the money on fertilizer. That's, you know, it sucks, but you're gonna get a return. Since I'm out here, we do have some disease. This here is our famous tar spot that's been plaguing most of the corn belt and this part. Look at this. That's maybe some, definitely some heavy. Ooh, there's an ant. Heavy tar spot. But definitely the corn plant is cannibalizing itself by filling out the kernels of the ears. Even these AMS guys, they still don't look that bad. But the bottom leaves, the stalks are starting to yellow. They're still alive, so they're packing starches into these kernels, which makes them heavier, hence a better yield. But goddamn, man. I gotta talk to my buddy Dan and tell him, hey, let's spend some money on fertilizer and throw that AMS over the damn corn. But, you know, he's poor. I'm gonna be poor pretty soon. Buying a bulldozer, buying seed. I'm saving that. Of all the corn that I picked to like do yield estimates and just like looking at them, it's like 60 ears. So when I'm combining corn, I am going to be getting off the combine and trying to like save as much corn cobs that got pushed over from like an end row, or if I turned around, and you know, anything that didn't get caught in the head. I need to rescue 60 ears. That way will justify all the fucking around that I did out in these fields. But that's pretty much the update. So yeah, this field here was planted May 26th. So it was the last stuff planted. Most of the field got the V5 fungicide, and some of it got the AMS, not all of it, because of the fertilizer spreader that I cobbled together just did not run right. It did not spread evenly. It also probably spread too much. But we're seeing big results. Again, you can kind of see where it's kind of brown, and then there's that one spot right there. It's just dark green. That was an area where I actually loaded the spreader and dumped a bunch of fertilizer on the ground. And I started the tractor, and it started spreading right away. So those definitely things to do for next year. So yeah, that's our corn. We're probably gonna look to harvest it maybe mid to late October, and I'm gonna want to do the field back here first, the one that we first planted. That should be the first ready stuff. Hold on. God damn it! You walk in the field and you get these fucking. They're worse than prickers because there's so many of them and they're small. It's gonna take me 10 minutes to get all this shit off of me. All right. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna do a few hundred bushel of corn. We're gonna throw it in the grain bin and run air through the grain bin, through the corn, and try to dry the corn down so that it is at a more drier percentage, so that when we ship it to Andover, we don't get docked as much. And their shrinkage chart and how much that they charge for drying per bushel, it's a little inflated. So it does pay to dry your own corn, especially if you do it with air. You don't have to spend the money on the fuel for fire. But that's something that I would like to do. Combining it when it's a little bit wetter. So the elevator wants it at 15.5%. It's safe to store over long periods of time. You can kind of store it when it's around 17%, but that's only for a couple of months. It's best to keep it cold, to keep it under 30 degrees. That way any bacteria or other organisms can kind of get frozen in its tracks. We usually try to combine our corn at 18%, which is, the elevator will take it, but you get docked. You get docked for shrinkage because when you take away the water down to 15%, it weighs less. So they have a calculation or a chart, but that chart is inflated. That's where they get you. Also, they charge you so many cents per bushel on how wet it is because they got to run it through their dryer. And then I think that the test weight is not accurate when it's already wet. So they have an inflated or some kind of a test weight thing. So sometimes you get docked if it's too low. So the benefits of drying your own grain, where you can improve in those certain fields to minimize all that dockage, you can save hundreds of dollars per load. So things that I'm seriously looking into for the future. I almost got a grain dryer this year, but luckily it kind of fell through. Maybe I'm just not ready for it. I mean, I would have got it and I would have plugged it in, at least used the fan. But there has to be other logistics in place to really set it up and get it in a proper running situation for it to really be working to our advantage. So, nevertheless, we're going to try and use the grain bin because that has a capability of running air through corn. So really anxious to do that. Also, by combining the corn wetter, when it's at 20%, you get less field loss. You get less loss of kernels off the combine. The kernels stay on the cob. The kernels are heavier, so they don't get thrown out by the fan. They don't get ground up by the thrashing head or by semi-war components in the combine. The kernel can take more of a beating, but when the kernel's drier, they come off the cob a lot easier. So cobs start to lose kernels when it hits the head. Kernels are light enough to get thrown out by the air of the fan. Kernels get ground up into cornmeal as it goes through all the chains. So the drier the corn, the more loss you start to get. So I'm going to really attempt to get less of a loss and then hopefully dry it down. Like I'm hoping to dry like a few hundred bushel like a day or so. So we will cross that bridge as we get to it, but the bridge is coming pretty quickly. Nevertheless, soybeans is our first thing that we're going to do, but we need to work on the combine. So I'm going to stop this video and keep this as the corn update, and then a new video will come up, will be starting on the combine and getting that thing put together and ready to go. All right. See you later.